Guys, Rob from Expedition Team Overland here with a new series I'm going to be starting. It's called Campfire Chat. Obviously, we're here in the studio, so there's no fire, but once the weather gets better and we get to be doing these a little more outside, we'll do them by the fire in the summertime. But for now, what we're going to be doing, this is just going to be like a little bit of a discussion and question and answer period that you guys answer over on Instagram and in my YouTube comments. So I'm going to have a bunch of these comments that are going to be dropping sporadically throughout the year. But right now, first of all, I'll ask you guys all to hit the like and subscribe button. I got a bunch of videos coming out. I got some trips going out to Pennsylvania. My wife and I are doing we've got an Airbnb, so we're going to do some snow, exploring some snow roads, some fire roads during a snowstorm. Dee and I are heading out to Allegheny National Forest for a two-part series. We went out there over, of course, a couple weekends, trying to make it down to Kentucky in the spring to do the Daniel Boone Byway and all the trails there in the Daniel Boone National Forest. And then this fall, it's going to be a large multi-part series of Ouray, the Alpine Loop, and the San Juan Mountains. Going to be hitting up almost all the trails, all the big popular trails, Black Bear, Imogen, Engineer, and we're going to also do the Durango Railroad. If that's up and running, they've been having some issues with fires and with a washout, so we're going to try to get that as well. So for right now, the first one is going to be overlanding and off-roading for beginners. And what this is, it's kind of the way I attacked off-roading and overlanding. When I first got into it, I bought my Jeep and was doing the regular off-roading stuff, going to off-road parks and doing rock crawling and Moab and all that type of stuff. After I did that for a couple of years, I really wanted to get back into camping aspect and not doing as technical trails, but exploring forests and the exploration side, not just can I drive over something doing an out and back trail. I still enjoy that. I still will be able to do that, and I built my Jeep to do both. So this is going to be for the beginners, or if you're just getting into this, what to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is get out and explore. That's the number one thing. You can do that in any vehicle. You can do that in a Subaru. You could do that in an Acura. You could do that in a Jeep. You could do it in a freaking tank. Just get out and explore. You don't have to have big tires, all that type of stuff. If you just want to go out and do fire roads, you could do that in pretty much any car. They're dirt roads, and especially on the East Coast, they're pretty hard dirt. You get out to Colorado, they get a little bit more technical. But for the most part, just get out and explore. So the second thing I'm going to do is figuring out what vehicle you want. I come from the Jeep background, so I have a lot of experience and knowledge on the Jeep platform. Don't have that much experience with the Toyota platforms, but from my limited research and talking to friends, I'm going to say is when you're going out and buying a Jeep, buy the Rubicon package. It is more expensive. Do you need lockers? No. Do you need a disconnecting sway bar? Debatable. But you have the options. It's not that much more expensive when you, for the Gladiator, the JT platform. The Overland versus the Rubicon is only a couple $1,000s. So in the grand scheme of things, I think that is the place to go, because if you wanted to add them in the future, it's considerably more expensive. You got to find, what you want to do. You got to get air compressors. You got to run electrical. You got to buy a locker. And when I had my first Jeep, it was all built, not bought. And it's only $1,000 to do a locker. Well, the locker itself is $1,000. Then you got to have someone install it. You got to run the wiring. If you're going to be doing an air compressor, there's a lot more to it than that. If you're into the building aspect of it, you can do that. I'm not saying you have to be an overlander or an off-roader, you have to have a Rubicon package. But from a cost perspective and a just ease of doing stuff, it gets you started. Now, especially a Rubicon when it comes to the JL and the JT, is you can run 35s and 37-inch tires with no lift. So for what I had to do in the JK, you can do in a stock Rubicon with just buying new tires and wheels. So from that aspect, I think that's the way to go. Toyota, I'm thinking, and I could be completely wrong. I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, I'm not a Toyota expert. I think the TRD off-road is the way to go versus the TRD Pro, because I believe from my research, the Pro and the off-road, the only differences are suspension. And if you're going to be doing some off-roading, you're probably going to be upgrading suspension at some point. So I don't know if I would spend that money, because for me, that's the only difference. I could be completely wrong. Like I said, I'm not an expert on the Toyota platforms. So from that aspect, just get the Rubicon. Just buy once, cry once. That's been my philosophy on a lot of stuff. There's some things you can go cheap on, but there's some stuff I think that just buy once, cry once. So next is a plan. And a plan for your build and a plan for what you want to do. If you have the money laying around, you got $100,000 burning a hole in your pocket, go from the dealer lot straight to OK 4-wheel drive, straight to Asheville Outfitters, and they will do everything for you. Bumpers, tires, lift, air compressors, winch, lights, everything. If that's what you want to do. For me, I did a progressive build. I have a lot of plans that I want to do for future stuff. So have a nice long plan, and then you can buy the stuff sporadically over the course of many years. And then you're going to want to upgrade stuff as you go. Some stuff might not work out. So have a plan. My plan started out with the current Jeep I have. This is my third Jeep, my second JK platform. So when I sold my previous JK, I stripped everything off of it. So when I got my Gobi Recon, I was able to put everything back onto it. So that I was able to save that money. So I had the bumpers and the wheel and the rims. So all I had to do is go buy lift and tires. And that's what I did pretty right away, because I knew what my plan was. So that was my first step, was lift and tires, because I had the air compressor, I had my recovery gear, and then I kept building off of that. Now since then, I'm still building out my platform. I've reworked my storage solutions. I've been building up my camping gear, building up my cooking gear over the years, and so that just have a nice long plan. But once you have your plan, okay, you have your complete build out on paper, what do you do first? And for me, is it's easy, it's cheap, is recovery gear. Because if you have a Jeep Rubicon JL, it already comes with mud terrain tires. There's a lot you can do. You have lockers and all that type of stuff. So you got a really great base to start with. So recovery gear is something you want to do, and I'm going to put that first as toe straps, D-rings, soft shackles, all that type of stuff. Build up that stuff first, because you probably could use it, and those aren't that expensive. Like I said, if you look at my gear series, I go through all the gear, all my recovery gear. But I would recommend buying from reputable companies: ARB, AEV, Warn. Don't buy the Chinese stuff, because the metals just aren't really tested out. So they say they're rated to 12,000 pounds, but you really don't know what the metals are. So buy that. That's something, because that stuff could kill you or seriously injure you or somebody else. So don't go cheap on that stuff. So next is once you get all your recovery gear, or you get enough recovery gear to get you out, and you can buy them separately, but they usually go one-on-one, is lift and tires. Because if you want to get bigger tires, you need a bigger lift. And then what lift to get? That is a very loaded question. And for me, it was very easy, because I went with AEV. This is now my third AEV suspension. I've been very pleasant with the ride quality in it, on and off-road. So that's what I wanted to go with. I would go with the smallest lift for what you want to do. So if my goal is 35-inch tires, that I don't anticipate going any higher than that. So 3.5 inches is the way to go. You can do 2.5, and I had the 2.5-inch lift for many years, but from a cost perspective, for what you get from the 2.5 versus the 3.5, especially from AEV, you get drop brackets, a high steer kit, and the Pro Cal is all included in the 3.5 kit, where the 2.5 kit, you have to buy all those separately. You can't buy the high steer kit, but the Pro Cal and the drop brackets, the cost is now almost the same. So I think that's the way to go. I would not recommend, if you're going to be the typical overlander, I wouldn't recommend anything over than 35s and 3.5. On the JL platforms, I think on the JL, I think their 2-inch lift, or the AV2 2.5-inch lift, is comparable to 3.5-inch lift, because you can from the factory on a Rubicon, JL Rubicon, you can run 35s. On the JT, AEV has a $400 lift, 2-inch lift, that comes with the Pro Cal and all that type of stuff. So I think that's the way to go. For the Toyotas, I think ARB sounds like a really good way to go. And then Icon. Icon is a little bit confusing. I really haven't spent a lot of time on their website or even talking to them, because they have these stages of their lift kits. So that's what I would do. But I would go with the smallest lift, what you want, because once you start going bigger lift, bigger tires, you start running into a lot of other component breaking down the line. Drive shafts, tie rods, control arms on independent front suspensions. You run into a lot of other issues. You got to start changing out more things, because you're changing all the geometry of the vehicle. So that's why I would say the smallest lift possible. For me, 3.5, 35s, that's where I'm going to go. I don't anticipate going any higher. Now, like I said before, when it comes to this lift, I have a dual lift. I can do the overlanding stuff, and I can also do the rock crawling stuff. So if I want to go to Moab for Easter Jeep Safari, doing the Rubicon Trail is a goal of mine. The Rubicon Trail is not an overland trail. It's a very technical 1 to 2 day trail to do. It takes for the average person, it takes about 2 days to complete. Because you're going slow, there's a lot of obstacles. It does a lot. So I can do both. I just have to load my vehicle out differently. If I'm doing the Rubicon Trail, I'm not taking my tent. I'm not taking my big Gazelle tent. I'm not bringing all my kitchen gear. I need to keep the weight down as much as I can. So I'll just be taking the bare necessities that I have to have for that trip. I won't be loading out for a regular overland trip. But I have the ability to do both. Can the Toyotas do that type of stuff? Can you see a 4Runner running 33s run the Rube? I'm not really sure. But I think if you're going, that's why I think the Toyota platform is more of a pure overland, where the Jeep is kind of a dual purpose, which is why I really love the Jeep platform. So then after you do your tires and lift, now you got to get now you're getting into that more technical aspect. So now you can upgrade your bumpers, and when you upgrade your bumpers, you probably want to put a winch in there. So that's where you kind of finish out the gear aspect of your build. So what winch do you go with? What bumpers do you go with? Do you go with steel? Do you go with aluminum? There's a whole way to go, but I would definitely go. Bumpers would probably be one of the last things that I would do on my vehicle. So when I had my black Jeep, I took the same aspect. I bought the Jeep. I didn't do anything with it for over a year. Just wheeled it with stock tires. It was a sport, so I had almost street tires. So I used those. I didn't put any skid plates on. I just used it as is. Then I did my lift and tires, because like I said, those go hand in hand. Wheeled that for almost a year. And then I did my bumpers. And I didn't get a winch right away. I just did the bumpers. And then when I got my new Jeep, I was able to take, like I said, all that stuff off. Now I already have the bumpers. I bought a new lift, had AEV install it. Now I have to go get the winch. So I also followed the same progress over the course of almost 4 or 5 years, and over the course of 2 vehicles. So, and then the last thing I would do would be to finish out your gear, your first aid kits, which you probably should have that already in the beginning, but you're just the little stuff that you want to add over time, you know, kitchen gear, refrigerator, stuff like that, because you want to see how it goes. Like for example, a refrigerator. I used a cooler with ice packs for a long time, and they worked fine. You couldn't keep stuff cold for days on end. You got about a day's worth of cooling, especially out in Moab in the desert where it's hot. But then when I saved up the money, I decided to get the ARB fridge because I wanted to be able to keep stuff cold for a long time, for multiple days. Don't want stuff soggy. So, but I went the baby steps is the way I'm going to say to do this overlanding for beginners. So I hope this all helps you out in going forward with how to do this. Leave your comments below because I really want to learn from you guys on how you all have built your vehicles. I wish I had the ability to just go out and buy a Jeep, take it straight to ARB, OK 4-wheel drive, or one of the outfitting groups. Say, here you go, tires bumped, stock to fully built overnight. For majority of us, that's not the case. This is a hobby for us, and we have to, we have other things in life we have to take care of. So, but having a plan, I think, is the most important thing, because I have something and you constantly change the plan. You want to look and say, okay, what do I have? So when Christmas comes up and someone's looking for you, oh, you need traction boards, or you want a special tree saver, or soft shackles. People can get that stuff for you too. So it's not just a one thing. So I appreciate you guys. This is going to be fun. This is going to be a great series to have. I think just having a nice little discussion. Put my comments on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube on stuff you want to talk about in this series, because I love helping you all out, because I've been there. We all started out with nothing, not knowing what overlanding is. I had the camping aspect from Boy Scouts and stuff growing up, but this is new to a lot of us. So I want to be able to help you guys out, as through the years, YouTube and Facebook and all that has helped me. So make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Like I said, we got more of these videos coming up. I got a bunch of trip videos coming up later on. So you guys have a good one. Stay safe.